Hi everybody, and welcome to this video entitled It's More Than Just a Job, Creating a Culture of Ownership Within Your Dental Practice. Over the years, when I've been working with dental practice owners and dental practice managers, a consistent thing I hear from them, a thing of frustration, which I'm sure you've heard, which I'm sure you probably feel, is I just can't get the people in my practice to really engage in their jobs and to take full ownership of their jobs. Well, this video will give you a guide and a structure as to how you can create a culture of real ownership from your people, with your people. All right. First off, then, I would like to introduce you to the CADA model of ownership. So the CADA model of creating ownership within your dental practice. And it is as follows. So CADA stands for clarity. Firstly, you have to give absolute clarity to your team and your people about what the practice is heading, where the practice is heading, what it's all about, and their responsibility. Secondly, then adult behavior. You have to treat your people like adults and not like children. Thirdly is delegation. You have to actually delegate and then delegate effectively. It's not one size fits all. It's about delegating appropriately according to the person and the situation. And then finally, from a mindset point of view, you have to allow people to take that ownership. If we go through these then in a bit more detail, talking about clarity, we have to provide clarity for people as to where the practice is heading, what the values are in the practice. So do you have real clarity around your values within the practice? What's the practice there for? Why is the practice there? What are you actually serving? What are you actually doing? Who are you serving? And what's the impact you're having on the people around you and the community around you? You have to give this clarity to people. And then you have to give clarity about overall responsibility that they have with their role. So often I see people who have these job descriptions that are full of a list of all this stuff that they need to do, all these specific tasks. Well, that's fine. And yes, they probably have to do some of these tasks. But you also want to have a broader responsibility that they have ownership of, so that they then know that they have to be proactive and that they don't have to wait for you to tell them what to do, because they have this broader responsibility. They can go, okay, what can I do now to contribute to that responsibility? And because you've outlined where the practice is heading, what's important to it, they also know how that broader responsibility fits into that and what's a kind of compass for them in terms of making decisions and taking ownership. All right. So we have to have these 4 areas. We have to have real clarity around where the practice is heading, what it stands for, what it's there to do, what is the purpose of the practice, and then what is their overall responsibility for their role. And if you provide that, this kind of sets the groundwork for them taking ownership. So this is the first piece, which is clarity about the things for the practice and clarity about their overall responsibility. To give you an example of this, you may have a treatment coordinator in your practice and you may have a list of things that they need to do. But do they have overall clarity around what their responsibility is? Is their overall responsibility to bring in new patients into the practice? And give them a measure for that, so that whatever happens, they can be consistently trying to contribute to make that happen and take ownership of bringing patients into the practice. So C of CADA is clarity. The next one is A for adult behavior. Adult. Being an adult. We want to create an adult-to-adult environment in your dental practice. Yet, as practice leaders, principals, managers, we often actually treat our people like kids, like children. We tell them off. We tell them exactly what to do, and we're not always having adult conversations with them. Yet they are adults. They're not children, right? So please treat your people like adults. Be on a level with them, right? You're an adult. They're an adult. Be on a level with them. Don't think you're hierarchically better than them because you're the leader, because you're the manager, because you're the boss, right? You are both adults, so treat them so. Listen to them, be respectful of them, be present with them. Their time is equally as important as yours, believe it or not. So treat them on an adult-to-adult, in an adult-to-adult way. So that's your behavior. And then also look out for it within the team. Make sure within the team you're also creating this adult-to-adult environment. And there's something called transactional analysis, which is, as adults, we have three egos, either parental, adult, or child. So we operate in these three egos as an adult. Now, you will see this a lot. So one of the team will come to you and go, oh, such and such is being really annoying and not doing their job properly. That is childlike behavior coming to you as the parent to resolve it. And the worst thing you can do is go then and talk to the other person and try and resolve it. Yes. Because that's not adult to adult behavior. What you have to do is try and interrupt that and actually say, have you spoken directly to that person? Well, yes, that's adult behavior, not childlike behavior and coming to me as the parent leader. All right. So this transactional analysis concept is a really great one. We want adult to adult behavior, not parent to child or child to parent behavior in the practice. And the thing is, by doing this, we will create this kind of adult environment where then people will start to respect that they are an adult and they can take ownership and they can take responsibility as in the rest of their lives. So this adult behavior is really important. Step number 2 of the CADA model, the A, don't know if that's the thing. The A, in terms of that symbol, is adult behavior. So we've got real clarity over the practice and responsibilities for them as an individual. Adult behavior is the second one. And then the third one is around delegation. No surprise, I'm sure to you all, is that you need to delegate. Now, you have to firstly delegate. That's the first thing. So are you actually delegating? One. I suspect many of you are. The next point, though, is, are you delegating appropriately according to the situation? Because I sometimes think people think it's one size fits all, which you just tell the person what to do and off they go. But that isn't the best way to delegate. And the situations are different. For example, if a person is brand new in a job and is kind of a bit nervous, not exactly sure what to do, when you delegate, you'll need to delegate them probably a bit more specifically, be a bit more individual tasks as to how to do it and talk them through it and show them how to do it possibly. On the other hand, if they're a really experienced person, highly competent, really confident, you can probably just give them a much broader responsibility and say, here you go. I want you to follow up all these patients. Job's done. Rather than if it's a new person, you may have to be specific about, you need to phone this out, look on the database, whatever it might be. All right. So that's just one example of how you can be appropriate in terms of how you delegate. Okay. Next piece is, your way isn't necessarily the best way. What? Yes. So when you delegate, you don't necessarily know the best way. In actual fact, the way things changing more and more and more quickly these days, the person doing the job is the person who is closest to the job, and therefore the person who is most likely to know the best way to do it. So you have to get into that mindset that even though you might think you know the way, it isn't necessarily the best way. So you have to get them to think about what is the best way. And that's about asking them questions, getting them to work out the best way of doing it. And that follows into the next one, which is ask, don't tell. We think we tell people what to do, tell. We don't have to tell them what to do. We can ask them, how are you going to go about doing this? What's going to be your approach? So we get an understanding, have a conversation, a discussion with them, but they're thinking about it, and therefore they are taking ownership. It's not yours, it's theirs. And therefore they'll start to take ownership. All right. And finally on this, don't do it for them. If you do it for them, this is a bit like being an adult, like we talked about previously as well. They'll let you do it, and then you'll carry on doing it, and they'll expect you to do it all the time. So don't do it for them. And if they try and get you to do it, just push back gently. Just say, well, look, this is your responsibility. I want you to take ownership, and I want you to do it. So I could do it, but it won't. That's not what I'm here to do. This is what you're. So third one of CADA is delegation. How to go about doing it. Delegate, yes, but also how you delegate. And finally, then, the last one is really about just the mindset, which is to allow other people to have ownership. Think about, what is your natural tendency? Do you have a high level of control tendencies as your natural personality? Or is that not part of your natural personality, in which case it will be much easier for you to allow people to take ownership. So think about what that is, but you have to allow people to take ownership. If you don't allow people to take ownership, they won't, quite frankly. And so in your mind, you have to just get gradually more and more comfortable with allowing people to take ownership. Now, this doesn't mean you just suddenly forget about everything and abdicate responsibility. But what it does mean is you start to have to gradually allow people to take that ownership, take that responsibility. So that is the fourth element of CADA, which is a mindset of allowing and letting go. Finally, then, to summarize, to come back to the model, the point I want to make about this CADA model is that it really is kind of a multiplier effect. So when you do all four of these things together, you will get this real ownership happening in your practice. If you only do one or two, you'll have a bit of an impact, but not much. It's about doing all four of these things, and then it'll overlap and come together to help you really create this level of ownership. Okay, thanks very much for listening and watching, and good luck in really creating a culture of ownership in your dental practice.